I was the star pupil, the crown jewel of the Elysium Institute's elite faction. Blessed with unparalleled genetic potential, I hit the peak of the gold tier rankings by 25. But I wanted more. To break the ceiling and reach the apex tier, I entered the void chamber for deep stasis. 50 years later, as the final surge of cosmic energy tempered my body, I achieved apex status. But simultaneously, a rush of alien memories flooded my brain. It turned out I was the protagonist of a regret novel, a trashy drama where, upon my return, I'd find myself replaced by a mediocrity who had stolen my mentor, my fiancé, and my junior partner's affection. Despite being a low-level novice, this new guy would frame me for theft, and to prove my innocence, I would destroy my own core power. Maybe my 50 years of isolation made them think I was soft. What kind of masochistic script is that? Burn it all down. As the energy settled, my body erupted in golden light. Break! I roared, venting the excess power. My scars vanished. My energy reserves overflowed. I had done it. 50 years in the void, and I was in apex. But then the memories crystallized. I'm Victor Sterling, born to old money, identified at 8 as a fire element prodigy, and headhunted by director Sylvia Blackwood of the Elysium Institute. I dominated the rankings. To secure my legacy, I went into stasis. But I underestimated myself. I didn't just level up, I evolved. Give me 200 years, and I transcend this plane of existence entirely. But my euphoria was cut short by that script in my head. A regret novel. I'm supposed to come out, find a scrub named Caleb who stole my life, get framed for stealing his herbs, and then cripple myself to prove I didn't do it? Bullshit. I sneered. I'm an apex. Why would I steal a novice's weeds? Logically, the kid should be begging to give them to me for a scrap of influence, and I'd probably toss them in the trash. As a man of education and class, I refused to accept this predetermined destiny. I engaged my flight aura and shot back to the Institute to report to Headmaster Thorne and Director Blackwood. However, as I descended toward the administration spire, I spotted a familiar figure near the great oak in the courtyard. Lily! I landed, calling out to the young woman. Lily Rain spun around, her face lighting up. Victor, you're back! Lily was my junior partner, my shadow since childhood. My family was wealthy, hers wasn't. I was an only child and didn't know how to care for people, so I mostly ignored her. But since I was the senior, I'd done my unwanted high-tier gear and resources on her. She loved it. Thanks to my scraps, she was a decent mid-tier adept before I left. Lily, I smiled. 50 years. Long time. Victor, you look even better. More mature. She had grown, her power solidified. I sensed she had recently hit prime tier. I remembered her snot-nosed crying when I left. Nostalgic. Victor, I missed you every single day. She lunged to hug me. I stepped back. Boundaries. I had a fiancé, and 50 years doesn't change protocol. Seeing my rejection, her eyes darkened. Victor, why are you pushing me away again? Excuse me. Lily. A voice interrupted us. A young man jogged over. My eyes widened. It was him, the guy from the memories. Caleb Jones. Lily, who's this? Caleb asked, looking confused. Lily beamed. Caleb, this is him. Victor Sterling, our senior. Victor, this is Caleb. Director Blackwood recruited him 10 years after you left. I knew him from the download, but I played polite. I extended a hand. Nice to meet you, Caleb. I am Victor. Victor Sterling. Caleb paused, then grinned, grabbing my hand with both of his. The legend. They talk about you constantly. I smiled. Despite his enthusiasm, I caught the malicious glint in his eye. Growing up in a dynasty with a mother fighting off my father's mistresses, I knew that look. He was plotting. Sure enough, blocked from Lily's view, Caleb suddenly threw himself backward and hit the dirt. Me? Then the waterworks started. Victor, I know you don't like me replacing you, but you didn't have to shove me. Lily rushed to him. Caleb, are you okay? She turned on me, furious. Victor, how could you push him? Wow, this was a cheap tactic my father's cheapest mistress wouldn't even use. And from a man? A supposed elite warrior? Embarrassing. But Lily bought it. Victor, Caleb has been keeping the director company while you were gone. You should be grateful. I ignored her logic. Caleb, what's your rank? He looked startled, playing the victim. I'm Foundation tier. Just as the script said. Caleb, forget the push for a second. If you're that weak that a tap knocks you down, you shouldn't be here. Do you really have any power at all? Caleb turned away, eyes red, acting bullied. Lily snapped. Victor, that's too far. You heard him. Apologize. Quiet, Lily. I said, my voice dropping to sub-zero. It was the first time I'd ever spoken to her like that. She froze. I'll ask once. This novice says I pushed him. Do you believe that? She hesitated. I was giving her a chance. But Caleb whispered, head down. Lily, don't fight him over me. I'm Fina. Just a bruise. The White Lotus routine. Lily's eyes hardened. Victor apologized to Caleb. Don't make me lose respect for you. Opportunity wasted. Fine, I said cold. Since you insist I pushed him, I prefer to deal in facts. What? Before they could blink, I blurred forward and slammed my palm into Caleb's chest. Crack. Art. Caleb launched backward like a ragdoll, smashing into the massive oak tree with a sickening thud. The impact nearly folded him in half. Blood sprayed from his mouth. Caleb, Lily shrieked and scrambled over to him, shoving a healing pill into his mouth. Ve Victor. Caleb gasped, eyes wide with genuine terror this time. He hadn't expected me to actually strike. See, if I wanted to push you, that's what it would look like. Your little stunt earlier was amateur hour. I smirked at Lily, and only an idiot would fall for it. Lily turned pale, trembling with rage. Victor. My voice cut through the air, ice cold. I thought 50 years might have matured you, Lily. I was wrong. Victor, how could you? I looked down at her. You're a disappointment, Lily. That broke her. How dare you? She screamed, power flaring around her. You left me. You rejected me 50 years ago, and you reject me now. You don't get to judge me. She drew the frost blade I had gifted her decades ago and lunged. Snap. I didn't even use a weapon. I backhanded her. The force of my apex level slap hit her like a freight train. Her head snapped to the side, and she flew across the clearing, tumbling through the dirt. Lily, Caleb cried out, too broken to move. I ignored him and walked toward where Lily lay groaning. You drew a blade on me for a liar. Regrettable. Lily, face swelling, looked up in shock. Why? You left me alone. I'm not your babysitter, I said calmly. And now, you're not my problem. You're no longer my junior. Get lost. I turned and walked away. Honestly, I felt nothing. I was born rich and gifted. I didn't need emotional validation from sycophants. Power was the only truth. Lily just wanted attention, and Caleb gave it to her. Not my circus. I headed to my private estate on the Institute grounds. I had bought the land and built the villa with my own money. But as I approached, I realized the script was right. Caleb had moved in. My sanctuary was filled with his trash. The thought of his mediocrity touching my things made my skin crawl. I didn't bother with eviction notices. I raised a hand. A colossal dragon of fire descended from the sky. Boom! The villa was instantly engulfed. What was that? Fire. Look! Disciples swarmed the area, gasping when they saw me. Victor Sterling? He's back. Wait, isn't that Caleb's house? No, idiot. That was Victor's house. Director Blackwood gave it to Caleb when Victor went into stasis. As the crowd murmured, a sharp voice cut through. Victor, what are you doing? Vanessa Rose, my fiancée, stomped toward me. She was beautiful but thin, looking haggard. Instead of hugging me, she screamed, You burned down Caleb's home. It's my house, Vanessa, I said, bored. I have the deed. The headmaster has the copy. Since when is it Caleb's? You, she stammered as the timber popped and hissed. You could have asked. Why burn it? Vanessa, you're acting strange. I frowned. Squatters took over my property. I fumigated it. Why do I need to explain that? How can you speak to me like that? Vanessa's face twisted. She wasn't used to me fighting back. Fina, forget the house. I saw what you did to Lily and Caleb. You put them in the hospital. What kind of monster are you? They framed me. I simply demonstrated the difference between a fake fall and a real hit. I shrugged. Got a problem with that, honey? The crowd whispered. Everyone knew she was my fiancée, yet here she was defending another man publicly. You have no right. Vanessa yelled, clearly guilty. You left for 50 years. Do you know how lonely I was? Caleb was there for me. If not for him, I would have broken down. So, I said, loud enough for the crowd, you're admitting to cheating on me because you were bored? She froze. I went into stasis to secure our future, I continued. And you couldn't handle 50 years? We're cultivators, Vanessa. 50 years is a nap. If you're that fragile, we're done. I reached into my coat and pulled out the engagement jade. We're over. Give me mine back. The crowd gasped. Victor, Vanessa screeched. You're breaking our engagement over this? Are you jealous of Caleb? Jealous? I laughed. Of a guy who cries when he trips? No, I'm just disgusted by your lack of morals. I tossed the jade at her feet. Tonight, I write to my father. The merger is off. The Sterling family pulls all funding from the Rose Corporation. Good luck explaining that to your dad. You're so petty, she shrieked. Caleb and I are innocent. He's like a brother. A brother you rely on for loneliness? I asked the crowd. Does that sound like a brother to you guys? Silence. Vanessa's face turned purple. I won't accept this. As I turned to leave, I felt a spike of killing intent. You ignore me. You always ignore me. Vanessa drew her weapon. It's always your fault. Bang. I didn't look back. I spun and drove a fist in her gut. Guh. Her stomach caved in. Bile and blood erupted from her mouth. She launched backward, skipping across the ground like a stone on water, finally collapsing in a heap. The crowd stared at my smoking fist in horror. TCH. I adjusted my cuff. Look what you made me do. I hate violence. I left them there and flew toward the headmaster's spire. If the memory script held true, Director Blackwood, my own master, would be the next headache. In the original story, she sided with Caleb, stripping me of my rank. The headmaster had tried to save me, but I was too stubborn. Not this time. I landed at the spire. The guard bowed low, terrified. Victor Sterling, reporting. Headmaster Thorne sat on his throne, looking just as I remembered him, a dashing middle-aged statesman. Victor, 50 years. He stood up. You look incredible. Headmaster, I nodded. Quick question. You still have the deed to my villa, right? Of course. Huh? About that. Thorne looked pained. I tried to stop them, Victor, but Director Blackwood insisted Caleb needed the best feng shui. She threatened to burn it down if I didn't agree, so... It's fine, I interrupted. I'll burn it down myself. You... What? Thorne blinked. My property. I can do what I want. But since my master, my partner, and my fiancé conspired to steal it, I figured I'd start fresh. I see. Thorne looked shocked but impressed. Suddenly, the doors slammed open. Victor, you ungrateful brat. Sylvia Blackwood stormed in. She was a powerhouse, a veteran apex. She unleashed her aura, trying to crush me into submission, a classic intimidation tactic. But I was an apex now, too. I didn't flinch. The pressure washed over me like a breeze. What? You? Blackwood stopped, stunned that I wasn't on my knees. Hello, Director. I smiled, dropping the master title. Nice greeting. You'd think I was an enemy. You... Actually, you're here just in time, I said coolly. You sublet my property to a stranger for 40 years without my consent. Legally, I should drag you to the tribunal. But since you taught me the basics, I'll settle for back rent. Rent? She screeched. Are you insane? Let's do the math, I continued. Prime real estate. 40 years. Pretty dommage. I'll give you a discount since I burned the evidence. 10,000 ether crystals. You dare charge your master? She flared her power again. I flared mine back. The room shook. Books fell off shelves. Stop it, Thorne shouted, stepping between us. Blackwood, pay the man. I told you not to give that house away. This is an order. Blackwood ground her teeth. She realized she couldn't bully me anymore. I was her equal. Victor, I'm disappointed in your greed. And I'm disappointed that you gave my home to a novice, I countered. Pay up, or I sever the master-disciple bond right here. What? And if you don't pay, I added, I'll go to the city and spread the word that Director Blackwood steals from her elite students to spoil her new favorite. Bad for recruitment. You blackmail me? I call it leverage. Defeated by Thorne's order and my power, she threw a bag of crystals at me. Take it and rot. In the original timeline, she spent a fortune on Caleb while giving me nothing. Taking her money felt like justice. I walked out, 10,000 crystals richer. I rebuilt my villa using advanced fabrication magic that same afternoon. The message was clear. I was untouchable. For a few days, peace reigned. I focused on stabilizing my new apex power. But the script wasn't done. The theft arc was coming. I went to the logistics depot to pick up some rare alloys I had ordered. As I left, Lily and Vanessa blocked my path. Victor, Lily looked terrible, bruises still fading. Stop right there. I'm not your senior anymore, I said, sidestepping. Get out of the way. Victor, please. Vanessa grabbed at my sleeve. She looked wrecked. The Sterling family had indeed cut ties, and the Rose Corporation was tanking. Her father had likely beaten her black and blue. Victor, take me back. I'll do anything. My dad is going to kill me. Then run away with Caleb, I said, shaking her off. You two are soulmates, right? Victor, Lily shouted, drawing a crowd. By the order of Director Blackwood, you are under arrest. We suspect you stole Caleb's spirit grass. Here we go. Director Blackwood demands you report to the spire. I sighed. I released a pulse of pure kinetic force. Boom! Lily, Vanessa, and the gawking onlookers were slammed face first into the pavement. You think an apex needs to steal weeds from novice? Morons. I didn't go to the spire. So they came to me. Blackwood, Caleb, Headmaster Thorne, and the High Inquisitor arrived at my newly rebuilt gates. Victor, get out here, Blackwood screamed. I walked out sipping tea. Director, bringing a crowd? Shut up. She pointed a shaking finger. Caleb saw you enter his meditation chamber. You stole his spirit grass. Thorne looked exhausted. Caleb, are you sure? Wait. I interrupted. This is a waste of time. Caleb, what tier are you? Foundation tier, Caleb stammered. Crash. I dropped the full weight of my apex aura directly onto him. Arg. Caleb collapsed, vomiting blood as the gravity crushed him. Victor, stop. Blackwood tried to interfere, but I backhanded the air, sending a shockwave that blasted her into my garden wall. This, Thorne gasped. Victor, your power. Apex. Peak, I said calmly. I evolved again since returning. Peak apex. Blackwood wheezed, sliding down the wall. Impossible. I walked over to Caleb and placed a boot on his chest. Crunch. So, Caleb, I asked pleasantly, why would a peak apex steal from you? Do you have anything I could possibly want? No. No. Caleb sobbed, terrified. Elite. Elite. You didn't take anything. See, I looked at the High Inquisitor. He confessed. Caleb. Lily and Vanessa rushed in, seeing him broken. Victor, you monster. Silence. I looked at the Inquisitor. Director Blackwood and this novice conspired to frame a peak apex. I demand justice. Absolutely, the Inquisitor nodded, sweating. Framing a superior is a capital offense. No. Blackwood stood up, shaking. Black smoke began to rise from her skin. Her eyes turned pitch black. He's corrupted. Thorne yelled. Demonic deviation. Blackwood's jealousy had snapped her mind. Victor, you ungrateful wretch. You shouldn't be stronger than me. She lunged, a creature of shadow and hate. I drew my sword. Director Blackwood has turned. As a loyal disciple, I will handle this. Granted, Thorne shouted. I vanished. Shing. I reappeared behind her. The black smoke dissipated. A thin red line appeared on Blackwood's neck. Victor. Her head slid off her shoulders and rolled onto the grass. Dead. The Institute purged her name. Caleb was stripped of his cultivation and exiled. I sent a letter to my family, and he met with an accident a week later. As for the girls, the Rose family collapsed. Vanessa, desperate, tried to beg Lily for help. They fought, blaming each other for ruining their lives over Caleb. I had my alchemist spike their food with aggression-inducing toxins. One night, the argument turned physical. Vanessa died by Lily's hand. Lily went to prison and lost her mind. A few years later, I took Blackwood's seat on the council. 150 years later, having conquered this world, I ascended to the next dimension. Story complete.